coming. We invite all of the award winners from all of our awards programs that we do throughout the year. It's going to be December 10th at the Duquesne Club. This is an open event, so any of you are welcome to register and come to it. It's going to be a lot of top-level executives there. And now I'm going to introduce today's speaker, which is what you're all here to see. MJ Callaway. As a speaker, author, and sales retention expert, MJ Callaway works with sales teams to close more sales. Before launching MJC Management's Rock More Sales, MJ signed more than $14 million a year in front-end contracts in a male-dominated field she learned from the ground up. Among her accomplishments are, she produced multi-million-dollar revenue for several nonprofits. She sold a children's game to Disney. I'd love to hear how she did that. And she received 4 gold awards and a bronze award for nonfiction articles. 3 of her 6 books have hit Amazon's top 10 list, and 1 of her books has sold more than 100,000 copies. Her next book, Sales Success Roadmap, Your GPS to Boost Your Sales, will be released in December. Let's welcome MJ.
If you want to close more sales, yell money! Money! Awesome. From this side over to this side, you are the red zone. From this side to this side, you are the yellow zone. And from this side to this side, you are the green zone. Now walking back over here to the red zone. My red zone, will you please stand up? Put the coffee down, thank you. And you want to go ahead and strike a pose. My yellow zone, please stand up. And you want to lean in. And my green zone, please stand up. Nope. And take a jump. Whatever type of jump you want. Awesome. Okay, back here to my red zone. I am so sorry. You are stuck in a sales rut. And with a frown, please sit down. You lost the sale. My yellow zone, oh my goodness, your conversation is like walking a tightrope. And you could either lean over and go to the green zone, or you could end up going to the red zone. Guess what? You made it to the red zone. You lost the sale. Sit down with a frown. And my green zone, woohoo! You made the sale. Give each other a high five.
There we go.
And with a smile, sit down. That opening represents 2/3 of salespeople today. So let's think about that. From here over, 2/3 of salespeople. 2/3 of salespeople do not hit their monthly sales quota. That's a little staggering, isn't it? And when you think of it, if you're not hitting that monthly quota, are you hitting the yearly quota? So that means only 1/3 of the company is bringing in revenue that needs to keep the company going. Now let's take a different perspective. Let's look at this from the buyer side and also from the company side. How many people celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday? Raise your hands. Okay, it looks like all but one person. In the middle row, he's not celebrating Thanksgiving, so he's going to go right into Christmas. For Thanksgiving, we are right now, for the next few minutes, we are all in the turkey business. Sound good? Sound good. Okay, over here in the green zone, we have 33 people. In the yellow zone, we have 34. And over here in the green zone, we have 33. Each person in each zone must sell 1 turkey. 1 turkey for the month of November. In the red zone, I am so sorry, we didn't sell our turkeys. So all your turkeys are now in the trash. The yellow zone, 1 person sold his turkey, and that's the business owner. So the other turkeys are now in the trash, 33 more in the trash. And our green zone, woohoo, again, you hit your numbers. All 33 sold turkeys. So when you think about that, 66 people walked in your door and 66 people walked out of your door. And guess what? Your competition happily adopted them. Takes a different perspective on it. And your company is functioning on 1/3 of the revenue. So what can we do to go into the green zone? How many would like to be in the green zone? If you'd like to be in the green zone, thumbs up. Awesome. So we're going to walk through the 7 sins that will take you into the red zone. Red zone here, but we want to get to the green zone. All right. The first sin, selling too fast. Selling too fast. So let's think about this as a car. And let's use a race car as an example. Because a race car wants to do what? Go fast. And win. And in order to win, that race car driver needs to get to the finish line. It's the end result. The end result. And that race car driver, does he care about what's happening until he gets there? No. He wants to get to the end result. Selling too fast. More than likely, you have had somebody in sales when you were a buyer and they sold too fast. And I'll give you an example. One of my clients is a car dealership, actually the owner of several car dealerships. And I did a mystery shop. And I went into this dealership and I introduced myself. And after the introductions, the first thing the salesperson said was, "Do you have a trade-in?" I hear a chuckle over there, a trade-in. I'm thinking, wow, that's like meeting somebody on a first date and they're asking you to marry them. Forgot everything else in between there. So imagine when I wrote that report, where did he end up? He had a red zone report. He went right to the sale. He forgot everything else. What about the selection? What about a test drive? What about negotiations? He was right to the end product. And that's what happens if you're selling too fast. You will lose the sale. So with that, what can have you selling too fast? Gender triggers. And one of them, sorry guys, men like to jump right in, find out what the problem is, and solve it. How many times, and this is for the guys, has your wife or a partner or a friend said to you, "I didn't want you to fix it for me, I wanted you to listen"? Men will jump in, find out the first thing, and then they want to solve the problem. Unfortunately, what happens with that is it might not be the right solution. And if it isn't the right solution, you've guessed. And when you guess, you lose credibility. And your buyer walks away. Now also, somebody with a dominant personality can also sell too fast. So if you tend to be dominant, you want to step back. And you want to make sure that you aren't selling too fast and you are building that relationship and you are having 4 steps to that sales conversation. So selling too fast is number 1. Sin number 2. Sin number 2, let's think about a Ford Model T. Anybody own a Ford Model T? Didn't think so. Ford Model T, from what I understand, the Ford Model T, you had to crank it. And you had to keep cranking it until it was completely cranked. And once it was cranked, you had to hurry up, run, and jump in it to drive it. And then it was a very jerky drive. Now, can you imagine driving a Ford Model T today?
You talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No.
No. What kind of car do you have?
VW.
Would you like to trade that in for a Ford Model T?
Absolutely.
All right.
That's because it's probably worth a boatload of cash.
Yes, and then you could sell it.
So,
Not too fast. You want to build that relationship. Sin number 2, selling processes and features. Last December, I had a business trip in LA, and I needed to rent a car because I had to go down the coast from LA to San Diego. So I walked into the car rental, had already reserved my car. And I walked up, I gave her my name, and she welcomes me. And then she said, "Oh, are you here on business or pleasure?" And I said, "Business." And she said, "Where's home?" And I said, "Pittsburgh." And she said, "What's the weather like?" And I said, "Oh my goodness, we have 10 inches of snow. It's 10 degrees there. I am so happy to be in sunshine." And she smiled. So she takes her monitor, she does something with her keyboard, she takes her monitor, she flips the monitor around, and there's this beautiful luxury car. Well, I'm thinking, I am driving from LA to San Diego down I-5 with 7 or 8 lanes of traffic. I'll stay with my little small car. So I said, "No, thank you." So she pulls the monitor back around, she plays with the keyboard, she turns around the monitor, and there was a yellow convertible with the top down. And she said, "Imagine you're driving down the coast. Our weather is 75 all week. The sun will be shining down on your face. And you can take a picture and send it back home to everybody in Pittsburgh who's shoveling snow." Guess what I did? I sure did. So, Jeff, what did she do?
She sold to your emotions.
She absolutely did, and she created a wonderful customer experience. Jeff Tobe, National Customer Experience Expert, who is with us in the back, and my mentor. Thank you, Jeff. She created a customer experience with 3 additional questions. Go 3 deep. What else can you find out? How many people here need to do an upsell or could possibly do an upsell in addition to the regular business? Looks like a quarter, 25% of the people here. So a few extra questions can pull in more information that will allow you to have additional sales, as long as you have the first one. And it will help you get that first one by finding out, what does that person want? So eliminate the features, eliminate selling features, because what's the difference there? How does this tap into, like Jeff said, buyer's emotions? So if she said to me, "Oh, we have a convertible manufactured by Mustang. It gets 20 miles to a gallon. You have a button that will take the top down." She tapping into emotions there? Not at all. However, that she painted a picture. Painting a picture is going to help you get out of the left side of the brain and into the emotional right side of the brain. So think, we actually read left to right, so go from left to right. Take them out of that logical thinking and into that emotion. So moving into sin number 3 here. Missed buyer's focus. This happens when we in sales get in our own head and we think it's all about me. And unfortunately, it isn't. Even though we would really like it to be all about me, it isn't. It's about our buyer. and we need to step into our buyer's shoes. This happens for a number of reasons. It happens because we get in our own head. Our inner critic, or in some cases people call it head trash, gets in the way. Oh, I'm not going to make that sale. He's not a good client for me. Oh, I don't have everything it takes to be able to talk to him. How is he going to use my product? Does he have the money for it? These are things that can go into our head and cause head trash or that inner critic to get in the way. One of my clients, who is a travel management company, there's about 20 on the sales team. So one day I'm talking to one of the corporate sales people about getting in her own head. When it was during a busy season, January, February, March, really busy season for them, and every time the phone would ring, she would go, ah, and that would be in her voice when she picked up the phone and said hello. So we were talking, and she said, MJ, I just don't get it. It's not about me. I don't get it's about them. So after going back and forth a few times, one day she came in and she said, MJ, I finally get it. She was at the grocery store, and she was at the cashier at the register, and that credit card pad was broke, and it would flop under the conveyor belt there. And when it flopped, it would make noise, and the cashier would get really ticked off. That thing has given me a headache. It has cost me a bad day today. I'm so tired of it hitting that conveyor belt and picking it back up. My client moved it along, she put it in place, and she said, here, it's fixed. And the cashier didn't want to hear anything about it and continued to complain. My client gets home, she unpacks her groceries, and she is missing the green pepper. The item that she went to the grocery store for she needed that ingredient to make for dinner. And she said, MJ, I get it. If that woman was focused on me instead of herself, I'd have my green pepper. So stepping into your customer's shoe or your buyer's shoes, are there times where you get in your own head? Are there times where you might be rushed? You might not be patient. You might be impatient. You might be frustrated. You might be overworked or overwhelmed. You might be stressed out. Every time you yourself have an emotion, it takes you out of the game. Takes your focus off of your buyer and puts it on yourself. So has that ever happened to you? And you don't have to raise your hands for this one. So with that, shift that focus, step back into that buyer's perspective by stepping into their shoes. And flip it. As soon as you feel yourself thinking about you, stop and think, oh, what do they need? And ask a question. Ask a question to find out what do they need. And I want to give a shout out right here to our two gentlemen from Comcast. Comcast is our event sponsor today, and Comcast is also one of my clients. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Okay, so sin number 3, it is selling features and benefits. So it is avoiding, you want to avoid selling features and processes. Instead, sell benefits and value. So what benefit do you have that your buyer will use? What value do you bring to the table for them? How can you stand apart from your competition? What do you have that you can give to that buyer that they can't get elsewhere? Bless you. And what do they need that you can provide? And how can you paint that picture for them? Okay, so we want to avoid sin number 3, missing the buyer's focus. Because if we miss it, we are going to be in that graveyard. Sin number 4, dumping information. Now I know there isn't anyone here that dumps information. However, maybe someone you know does, and you can share this tip with them. So dumping information. Dumping information is like having a great big dump truck next to your buyer full of manure. And when you go more than 2 to 3 sentences in your conversation without more dialogue from them, that dump truck is dumping right on top of them. So dumping information. Dumping information happens when we have a pink elephant that we don't know about or we do know about. One of my clients who's in the financial industry, when we were on a sales call together, he's talking to somebody and he continued to give more and more and more information. And as he continued to give more and more information, I could see his buyer just slumping down in the seat. And afterwards, this client said, well, I'm so young and I want him to think that I know what I'm talking about. So I figured the more information I give him, the more that I would be credible. I'd have that credibility. And he continued dumping the information. So it happens if we have our own pink elephant. And a pink elephant is something that could be in the buyer's head or your own head that can stop you from having the sale. And in his case, he thought his age was against him. However, his age is a plus when he positions himself. So what could possibly be your own pink elephant or one in the company? Sometimes there can be one in the company. This builder that I've worked with, they had some bad reviews from one of their salespeople. So we tackled that as soon as someone mentioned it. We had a response ready, a go-to response. And it was, we do know that there were some reviews about him. He no longer works for our company. We now have salespeople who are here to help you get the house you want to live in. So switching it around. So dumping that information. And when you dump information, it can be nervousness also. We tend to talk more and more and more when we are nervous. So get rid of that dumping of information. So here is, I do mystery shops, and this is one with a healthcare. Over here on this side, this is the transcript without the red and green around it. So this is a telephone conversation. Now this middle block there, who do you think is talking? The salesperson or the buyer? The salesperson. Can you imagine? Does that look like a big dump of information? And how many words does it look like the buyer actually had a chance to say? Not many. Not many. So when you look at this conversation, and then you have, and I'm not sure if you can see, you circle with red. A red is going to put you in the red zone and lose the sale. The green is going to put you in the green zone to make the sale. How many people think that this person didn't get the sale? Give me a thumbs down. Yeah, they didn't get the sale. Way too much information. This person didn't have a clue what the buyer needed. She was dumping. And this also comes if you are stuck in a rut. And if you say the same thing over and over and over again, what happens is you just want to get it out and get the call over with. And that was what was happening with this person. She just wanted the information out so that she could move on to her next task. So how can you break it up? How can you offer two or three sentences and then get something else, get some dialogue from your buyer? Ask questions, absolutely, ask questions. And there's a system that I like to use, and it's ask, echo back. So in order to echo back, you need to listen intentionally. When you echo back, you also get an opportunity to clarify. When you clarify, you can also import a little bit of information that you need them to know. And then you repeat that cycle. So it opens up a two-way dialogue, two-way conversation, and think of it as if you were having a tennis match or a ping pong ball match. So you're going back and forth with that dialogue. Okay? So that's a great example. So if you're not sure how much information you are dumping, record yourself sometime. And then type it out. And then circle it to see what the buyer says and what you have to say. Okay, sin number 5. If you are telling, you are not selling. Who has a teenager? Anyone have a teenager? Okay. Someone said 3 over there. Okay. And your name here?
Anne.
Anne, would you stand up, Anne, please? Thank you so much. And Anne, do you have a son or a daughter?
A daughter.
And how old is she?
15.
15. We have chuckles. Anybody who has ever had a 15-year-old knows what that is like. So when you, and her name?
Olivia.
Olivia. So when you're talking to Olivia and you tell Olivia to do something that she might not want to do, what happens?
She ignores me.
She
Pretends
ignores.
she can't hear me.
Awesome. So she doesn't want to go along with you.
No.
Thank you so much for participating. Okay. Olivia isn't alone. We all do that. Our brains are wired to resist when we are told to do something. So if you have teenagers and the person who had 3 teenagers, it's not their fault. We are all wired this way. We are wired to resist when we're told to do something. So when we're told to do something, this great big wall comes up. And we're pushing back. When we're telling our buyers to do something, that is what is happening with them too, because they are wired to do so. So what can we do to get them so they're not resisting? How can we get them involved? And that is to, instead of telling, we need to show them. In the publishing world, there's this great phrase, and it is show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. Okay, and I need a volunteer. Would you come up, please? Thank you so much. Okay, put this down. All right, and it was?
Vanna.
Vanna, thank you, Vanna. Vanna is in our showroom today, and Vanna is going to buy a house. Now, Vanna, you know, I know you wanted to buy an A-frame. You were talking about you want an A-frame house. An A-frame house has a lot of windows in it. So if you had your choice of framing your house with a 2x4 or a 2x6, what would you prefer?
6, 2x6.
2x6. Oh, that's great, because that's how we build our houses. Now, would you rather keep more money in your pocket when it comes to utilities, or it doesn't matter and utility companies can have your...
Let's be efficient.
You want to be efficient. Okay. Well, that's great, because you know what? With that 2x6, you get 2 extra inches of insulation in your wall cavities. So it's going to keep you nice and toasty in the winter and nice and chilled in the summer. So, sound good?
Outstanding.
Great. Now, there's something that goes, once you have your house framed, and before we put on the brick, do you want brick, stone, vinyl siding?
Oh, I'd love stone.
Stone, okay. So we're going to have, you're having your house framed here, and on the outside, we'll have stone. So with that, let me see, what are your thoughts about this? Having your stone put on this. You want to feel it?
Sure.
I'll hold this for you.
Okay. All right, what's my other choice?
So, well, This is what a lot of people build with.
Okay. But I'm not a lot of people.
Yeah. So you don't want this.
I don't know.
Feel it. Can you flex it? Can you break it?
I could probably break that if I wanted to try really hard.
Let me see. I bet you can. You can! Oh my goodness.
In a perfect half, too. So, I mean,
And you know what? It's a good thing that you're building with us and
Right.
you're building that A-frame with us,
Okay.
because guess why? This is what we put on the outside of your
you
house.
want to break that, too?
Try it. Feel it. Hold it.
That's quite significant. I like that.
Knock on it.
Okay.
Knock on this. Yeah, we don't want this. I am so glad. Sound good? Does that sound good?
That sounds marvelous.
All right,
When do we
great.
get started?
And we can sign a contract today. $500 is all I need.
Sounds great. Let's do
So-
it. Thank you.
Thank you. Open dialogue. Thank you so much. There you go.
That's my notes.
We'll make sure you have those. Now, I wanted him to know we build with 2x6s. I wanted him to know about the extra insulation. And also, instead of foam board, 3/4 inch OSB board. So when that was easily in a show, don't tell. So a demo, what can you do in the way of a demo for your buyers? Now, I know we have a number of people here in the banking industry. And those in the banking industry, could you raise your hand? We have quite a few, about 20% here. Okay. So with that, you know, it's an intangible. How can you get your buyers involved? What can you do for them to feel, to get into that emotion? And as I was driving here today, I was wondering that question. And then I had a thought. So if everyone can pull out a debit card or their check card from their bank out of your pocket or your purse, please. This is interaction. Okay, and may I use yours? Yes. Okay. Okay, and we have everyone hold up their debit cards. All right, thank you. You can make it out to me, MJ Callaway, thank you. Okay, so for our people in our, okay, thank you. Hold up your debit card. Say you're at a networking group. Hold up your debit card and say, oh, how many of you have debit cards? Have you ever had Target or Marshall's hack into your banking system, and then your bank charged you to replace that card? We don't do that. We replace it for you for free. Simple way to have someone think and to bring in one of your benefits. So how can you incorporate benefits and value when you have an intangible? So a little creativity. Okay, I lost my... So sin number 6, increased risk. Okay, increased risk because you didn't overcome buyers' emotions. Buyers have emotions. They go through these emotions when they are ready to make a purchase. And those emotions include overwhelm, stress, they're anxious, they're confused. And the higher the price tag, that higher those emotions go. So in the beginning of the conversation, it is pinpointing those emotions to find out what you need to overcome. And if you have someone who is indifferent, they're neutral, there isn't any emotions there, and you need to go back and qualify to find out if there really was a problem. Those emotions need to be, you need to have them aware of it. Have the buyer find out what it is. When you see someone, they look a little confused. What are you thinking? And that is a woman question that men, it's a good one to adopt because it will get them to give you more information. So overcoming those emotions, they have to be completely calm, ready to buy, excited before you can get to the sale. So if you get to the sale and there's still some emotions going on, they have to be overcome. And we're going to go into 7 because we are coming up on time. Okay, get yours. This is an infographic, and it gives you inside the mind of a reluctant buyer. So it's tips for you to get inside the mind of a reluctant buyer. And if you would like one, leave your business card, and I'll be happy to send you the PDF of that file. Okay, sin number 7. How many people have you got on a merry-go-round? Okay, let's go over here. And when you got off that merry-go-round, how did you feel?
Good.
You felt good. So did it give you excitement?
Not necessarily.
So when you felt good, was it just kind of like it was nice?
Yeah.
It was nice. Okay. So how many have ever gone on a roller coaster? And thank you. A roller coaster. Okay, let's go in the back here. And how did you feel when you got off that roller coaster?
Out of breath.
Out of breath. And did you feel excited?
Yes.
Yes. Did you have some fears still hanging over?
Yes.
Yes. That's exactly what we want to happen in our conversations with our buyers. We want to have a transformation. They need to hit that low before they hit that high. They need to go into that low place. They have to find that pain, that problem. They have to feel it. They have to acknowledge it. And without them doing that out loud to you, you don't get them to that low point. And without getting them to that low point, you can't get them to that high point because they're not going to feel the difference. And then once you find out what their pain is, then you go back and you find out what is their paradise. What is their dream? What is their solution? And you take them to that high place. You let them feel it, experience, just like a roller coaster. So if you do not have that roller coaster ride with them, you're going to end up in the nice zone. And the nice zone doesn't have emotions. And without emotions, there will not be a purchase. You will not hear the cha-ching of the register. So remember to take them on a roller coaster ride down through that pain and up through that paradise. So that is number 7, forgot the transformational ride, because they have to change. Okay, and we are at the end of our time here. Before Dina comes up to give off the raffles, I wanted to leave you with one last thought. So our opening, we had you strike a pose, we had you lean in, and we had you jump. We have choices. Your choice, and this depends upon where you are in your sales. You can stay right there in the sales rut and not make a change. You might lean in, hear some of these tips, however, you might not implement it. Or you have the choice to find out what you do need, to get the training you do need, to follow and implement what you do need in your sales, for your sales to hit your sales quota. And you can jump in and make those changes. That choice is yours. Dana?
Alrighty, I'm going to give away a few door prizes, and then MJ's going to stick around afterwards if anyone has questions. You can come up and see her then. So I'm going to give away 5 subscriptions to the Business Times. You don't need to come up. We'll contact you when we get back to the office. We have Aubrey Hart from Robert Half. We have Joseph What is it? Strome from Dollar Bank. Leigh Bauer from Agilon. We have Laura Radovich from Acuity. And we have Terry Seidman from eCare Dairy. So you guys all want a subscription. I'm going to put everybody back in. I have 2 gift cards for restaurants. one for Savoy and one for the Walnut Grill. Alright. So, let's see. We have Greg Hill from Dollar Back. You're here? Okay. Which card do you want? This is your first. Savoy or Walnut Grill? Walnut Grill? Alright. And we have Carl Sauerreisen from Hope Extended Care. Are you here? Yes, awesome. So you get the Savoy gift card. So thank you for coming. Our next Business for Breakfast will be in January. We do not have a date or location yet, but we will be posting that within the next few weeks. So look on our website, pittsburghbusinesstowns.com. Thank you all for coming.
I'll send that to you. And the next time I yell at you, make sure you answer me. And if it's not you, you should still answer.
My name's Carl Sauerreisen with Hope Extended Care Services, and since I am working in a new industry for me, a big takeaway for me today is not to dump too much information on my potential new clients. It's critical to gain the pain points that they're experiencing so that we might address those specifically. Well, given that my communication style tends to be more on the logic and process side of things, it was a great experience to see the energy that MJ brought today and to find ways that I might be able to incorporate that too. Well, in my work, I'm president of a healthcare company. It's a new field. I will be expanding my team, possibly by hiring a physician to come alongside me in some of our presentations. I could certainly see how MJ's instruction could help somebody from a doctor's background to help in the sales environment.
You know, MJ's always great. I've heard her a few times in the past, and my biggest thing is that I always want more. You know, she gives the 7 deadly sins of selling. I want more detail, and I just never get enough of her. My takeaway, though, is really that we have to get into the head of the customer, and I think it's seeing the world through their eyes versus our eyes. Let me think. I think when she talks about hitting emotions of the buyer, I think that's a key. I think if we really got to the emotional part of the sale, we got the sale. But most salespeople don't do that. So that's my biggest takeaway, and what I'm going to try and implement right away.
The takeaways I took from this with the 7 deadly sins, I like the comment number 4 on dumped information. Sometimes when you get in a conversation with somebody, you tend to do a little bit of overkill, so you have to learn to limit what you're giving away. So, you know, the key to sales is to keep your negotiation position open. For the future, I'll try to be better organized with my selling process and make sure that I avoid the 7 deadly sins.
Hi, I'm Rich Cefalo from Northwest Bank. I attended this morning at 8 a.m. and I was half sleeping, but MJ woke me up quickly. Great speaker, great presentation, high energy level, and I recognize some of the things that I do that I probably shouldn't be doing. I've been doing this a long time, and I learned something new today, so I would encourage anybody else to hear what MJ has to say, and I think you'll be a better salesperson for it.
So I thought today was engaging, energetic, and MJ has a really, really great way of being relatable to the audience. If you've been in sales, as I have been for a very long time, you know, you kind of get into habits that you think, maybe I need to tweak that a little bit different, but you always come away with some really great ideas of how to think about what you're selling and make it more engageable, make it more relatable to the people that you're trying to communicate with, make it more exciting. You know, her excitement is it makes you enthusiastic. It's very contagious, and you want to have that same experience when you're working with a customer. You want them to feel excited. I love the idea of the roller coaster where you talk to them about what their problems are, and then kind of bring them to a level of excitement that makes them want to work with you, want to buy from you. But the part I really, really liked was just talking about how do you make something that's maybe intangible more tangible, and how can you do better demonstrations. And she is absolutely a great demonstrator and really does a fun job of engaging the audience. And that's something, whether you're talking to a crowd of people or you're one-on-one, that really can set you apart. So she does a great example of that. So I really enjoyed today's presentation, and I highly, highly recommend that you work with MJ. She's fantastic, and the results prove it. So thanks, MJ.
My name is Phil Rader. I work with Mass Mutual Pittsburgh as a financial services professional. My takeaway was more blending the two sales processes that we use in our company, along with the seven deadly sins of MJ's process going through. But the biggest takeaway for me was trying to relate how to create this picture that she described, customer experience, and how to make sure you find a point of common interest, create the picture, and then take them through the roller coaster of the highs, the lows, to get them from the left side of the brain to the right side to make an emotional purchase versus just logical thinking. Everyone always is going to rely on their logic, resisting the selling, the showing, not telling she went through, but being able to personalize that on an account-to-account or just on a day-to-day basis is what I took most from this experience. I thank you very much for giving me this presentation, and I hope to be more involved in the future.